Hello again, it's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com, back in my spare room for a little bit of painting fun this afternoon. So I had a cry for help in one of my previous videos. I just wasn't getting the kind of cell action that I was looking for in my paintings. And if you go back, I will put a link at the end, so go back and do take a look at the paint consistency, the results I was getting, because I'd really still love your feedback if anyone's available to give me a few tips and pointers. However, what I did really like was the colours that I used. And so this is my very last piece of canvas. I've been out and splashed out and bought this last one, and I am determined to make this one work one way or another. The colours are gorgeous. I've got a bright orange, a magenta pink. This is I think a Bahama blue, which is like a turquoise, a bright yellow and a white. I've mixed them all up with my usual percentage. So that's 1 tablespoon of paint, a half a tablespoon of the Floetrol paint additive, and then around a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of water. The white is always a little bit thicker for me, so that needed a little bit extra water. And then in all of the 4 colours, but not in the white, I added 3 or 4 drops of the silicone spray. I just sprayed it into a bottle and used a little dropper to add it into my colours. So I'm hoping that I've done everything right. I'm hoping I've got the right consistency on all of my paints today, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to try another flip cup because it's a technique that I love to see other people do, and I really want to master that myself, and you can only master it, I think, by continuing to try. So let me move all these to one side. I'll get my cup in and we'll start to add the paints. So here's the cup I'm using for my pour. I'm going to start off with some white in the bottom. And because of this little lip, I always have to give it a brush off so it doesn't drip everywhere. And then maybe the magenta pink. So I've only given each of them, once I put the silicone oil in, I've given each of them just a small stir, because from what I read from and understand from watching others, the more you stir, the smaller it's likely that your cells will be. And I'm trying to get larger cells, so I've stirred a bit less. Now this pink looks a little bit too thick still for me. So before I add any more, I'm just going to stir in a little bit more water there. It's funny how they seem fine, and then within 5 minutes of just while I'm setting things up, they can kind of thicken up just that little bit. So let's go with some yellow. Again, according to advice I've seen on YouTube, I'm adding the paints from a height so that the paint is mixing in the cup, and that action with the paints mixing together should hopefully create some of these cells that we're looking for, or at least that I'm looking for this time around. So again, some blue. Ooh, very dribbly. Have I done orange yet? Nope, let's go back in with some orange then. I have to be a little careful with the orange because it always seems to dominate my colours. Very bright and strong. Oh, there we go, there's my orange. Let's go back then with a bit more white. This is the biggest canvas that I've used so far. So it's a 9 by 12 or 11 by 14, something like that. I'm not sure, probably 9 by 12. So again, I don't know quite how much paint I'm going to need, but probably most of this, I guess, because when I do a smaller one, what do I use? About half of these little pots for a smaller one. So I probably need to use most of it. Let's see, is that pink? That's a bit better now. It's not as thick as it was. Okay, so far so good. Some more orange. More white, and then I think once I put the white in, I'll just give it one more round. Start at the top. Last bit of pink. More orange. Blue. And the yellow. Okay. So let's see what's happening in the cup. Well, I can see some bubbles in there. So if I can zoom you in, you can look a little bit closer. There we go. I can see bubbles certainly forming, and the paint is kind of mixed together. There are bubbles coming up to the top. I guess that's the paint kind of mixing together and the action of the cells. I'm not really sure. There's a little bit going on in the cup anyway. So let's see. I've got about up here, which is just probably about 60% of the cup filled. So I'm going to give it a flip and see what happens. Let's zoom out so you can see the full canvas. And wish me luck with this. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it for a moment to let all of the paint run down the sides of the cup so that I get the most out of my cup that's possible. And while I'm doing that, I will keep my fingers crossed. I like to see in the bottom of the cup that surrounded the whites here, but I've also got all of the other colours shown at the bottom. So when I added the paint from the height, it dribbled, you know, right down through into the bottom of the cup and basically mixed all of these layers. So I hope I've got enough paint, but if not, I do have little bits left over in my pots on the side, so I could make up just a final little bit if I need to, but I hope not. We'll see. Okay, are we ready to flip? I guess so. So it's either going to look straight out, like great straight out the cup, or as usual it won't. So let's see what happens. So it's looking good. I can see by the way the paint is running that it's going a little bit that way. I'm just going to finish pouring that out on the corner there. And I need to go and get a little spare stick just to put under and level it. There we go. If I put a stick under there, hopefully that will halt too much going off in one direction. So this section here is nice. I'm liking that. I've got stuff going on. This section is nice. This section here is very pink, very red even, which is funny because I didn't, oh no, it's the orange, isn't it? Of course it is. It's the orange, which is always crazy. The inside of the cup looks really nice too. So that looks really pretty. So if I need to, I'll put some more in there, but I'm hoping not. So should I torch it first? I can see various little colours and things coming through. So this one looks to be successful to me. I'm enjoying watching it just slowly develop. Got this patch over here, which I'm not so keen on. I probably shouldn't have done that. But we'll see. Needs to run off yet to fill all these spaces in. It's always such a shame when something looks really nice and then I feel that I tip it and I lose all the great stuff which is happening. So in order to get good cells, I hear what I should do is torch it first and then tip it. I just need to put another stick under here. I can see it's still moving a little bit that way. Let's do that, try and stop it moving. And now I'm going to torch. Let's see what goes on. So I didn't seem to get an awful lot more in the way of any large cells, but what I did get was a lot of air bubbles that I saw that were popping out, so that's always a good thing. So I guess it's time for me to tip. This always makes me so nervous. I don't like to waste all the awesome stuff that's going on here. So it looks as though my paint consistency is good because I'm tipping and things are moving nice and slowly. So my cells aren't breaking up too much. It'll be a shame to lose some of this pink off the edge just there, but I will need to do that in order to get the paint right into the corners. So that's number one. And let's move it this way and I can take advantage of what was basically the kind of wasted paint just here. I won't mind if that runs off a little bit. Okay, so now let's tip it back over towards this corner. Things are moving nice and slowly. I seem to have a really good paint consistency this time, although things are getting kind of stretched, which is a shame, because over here now everything's kind of blending in a little bit where it was a lot more defined before. So maybe I just didn't have enough paint, maybe I'm having to move it too much, I don't know. I need it to make more paint, I guess. There we go, nearly got that corner covered. That's most of that, the predominantly orange section. And it's complete over on this corner. This looks really nice here, all these lovely blues. Okay, we're nearly there. So that's it. Now the canvas is now covered, so I now need to decide where, if anywhere, I'd like to try and move things. So over here, because things have moved so much, and I've lost a lot of the definition, which is a shame. And let's pop that down. Wipe up some of my paint that I've got all over myself. And I'll give it another little action with the torch and see what happens. Well, it's suddenly exploded with a lot of really tiny cells and lacing. Certainly a lot more intricate than it was before, but I'm still missing out on the larger, more defined cells that I was hoping for. So again, I think with the tipping, I've kind of spoiled that a little bit. Maybe I should have had more paint and required less tipping. But in terms of how it's gone, the composition isn't bad. I like this pink line going through here, and a patch of colour here, different patch of colour there, so it actually looks really quite nice. And I've got lots of small actions and details going on. So I think we're going to call this one a success. Just need to pick up a few little bits of paint and maybe touch in my corners. See how these bits are going. There's my water, oh I forgot it, okay. A little bit on the white on that corner. And let's pick up a bit of green for this one. And the same over here. Okay, so let's bring the camera down, take a look in some more detail. So here we go, this is what it looks like from my point of view. Zoom in and look at some of the details here. It is really pretty. Very pretty. It's funny how the colours, you know, you put them all in a similar proportion, and yet there's really only blue in this section over here, and then there's an orange section in the middle, then a pink line that goes down through the centre, and then over here more of a green, which is where I guess the yellow and the blue have mixed. But there's lots of details, lots of tiny cells, as well as some of the larger ones coming through now. And I do like these details. Some of them are really quite bright and shocking. There's a few big brighter ones coming through just here. I think this section here, can I zoom in? See if the camera will focus. It's like a beautiful blue lacing area within the orange there. That's turned out really nice. So, as usual, I'll now leave this one to dry, and I'll come back and show you a picture of it once it's finished. Here it is, all now finished and dried and varnished. It's a nice soft glossy sheen, really good surface to it. Didn't have a lot of texture on this one. The paint's all dried fairly flat, which was quite nice because I often get a lot of texture on mine, and of course not everybody likes all of that. But the colours are all still really vibrant. The cells all stayed. Got a nice area here, nice area of green, up at the top there. So all in all, another one that I'm really very, very happy with. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and watching me create this painting. Do hop over to acrylicpouring.com and take a look at the site. Hopefully you'll give me a thumbs up, and I'm always happy to receive new subscribers. Thank you.